Hey guys, Windsor here and welcome to Excelsior Basics. This is a chance to work on the fundamentals, the basics, the foundation, because without a strong foundation, you can't build anything solidly on top of it. And we're going to look at the basics with drums. The drum set. And whether you're a beginner and you're completely new to the drums, or you already have some experience, maybe you've taken some time out away from the instrument and you want to come back to it. Maybe it's something you do for a hobby. Perhaps you play in a few bands, semi-professional or just for fun, or perhaps you may even be a professional and drumming is what you do for a living. What we're going to do in this course is hone in on the basics, because that really is the foundation and the way to set yourself up to win whatever it is that you play on this wonderful instrument, the drum set. One last thing before we begin. Oh, actually 4. We're going to explore 4 questions that are really useful to give some context and help us set an intention and set us up to get the most out of what we're going to be doing in these lessons. And the first question is why? The foundation really is key. Whatever you want to build, if someone wants to build a structure, the Empire State Building or Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the foundation needs to be strong. For whatever you put on top of that, has to be stable, and it needs a foundation. And it's like martial arts. One of the key things in martial arts, I was a black belt in karate when I was 10 or 11. One of the key things in martial arts is having the basic moves mastered. Okay, and it's the quality of what we do when it might be martial arts, or it may be drumming, or if someone's a chef. The quality and the technique that they have is a core component of that then allows other things to be created using those tools. When it comes to playing music, what is ideal is to have the tools and have that foundation and have the basics, so that whatever style of music you want to play, you have what you need to play it. You have the raw materials, as it were. So what we're going to be doing is looking at some of those raw materials, which actually brings us to the second question, which is what? We're going to start with some mindset. We're going to start on the pad. We're going to look at some of the core fundamentals, basics, posture, etc. More about that later. And we're going to progressively move that towards the kit. These are things that I have found from experience work in professional settings, that I have learned through trying things and finding what does work and finding what doesn't work. And in the process of doing that, I have distilled that and want to present to you something that is helpful so that you can learn and, shortcut the process a little bit. You still have to practice and do the work, but you're certainly learning from someone who has experience in anything that you want to do. That's who to learn from, not someone that's kind of read a book about it, but someone who's actually done that. So I want to share what I've learned from experience that is helpful to you in the direction of mastering the basics, building that foundation, and ultimately, playing music. Third question, how? How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to look at a few different things. We're going to look at equipment, the tools that we use. We're going to look at ergonomics and playing in a natural way, a way that's not harmful, because drums are quite a physical instrument, and there are ways that you can play which are natural and don't cause unnecessary strain, etc. But more about that later. Technique, that's a big one. That's like the interface that you have with your instrument, which allows you to then get to the point that you can express ideas, but to be able to just have that idea and express it like you might speak in conversation, or like an An experienced artist may just paint what comes to them. Once they have the basic techniques, that's what opens those doors up. We're going to look at some of the fundamentals of music notation, and just in the process of that, understand about music and sound and notes and rests and how that looks on a page. Music is a language. Like we can speak in conversation using words, we speak in musical conversation using musical words, you could say, and phrases, etc. And more about that later on. Also, rudiments. When it comes to playing drums, there are some rudimental patterns that can create a lot of interesting sound possibilities on the instrument, and there are a lot of rudiments, but we're going to be focusing on 6 key rudiments that you could say are the basis for the others that you can find. So, rudiments. We're going to then look at some basic grooves and fills on the kit, because again, it's music and groove. That's really the key. And we're going to look at some different drum grooves and different fills that accompany that, and we'll link that to different musical styles as well. And we're also going to talk about practicing, because how you practice, the intent and the mindset that you have can really be the difference. Drum sound, instrument sound, and tuning, that's certainly something that didn't come with the drum kit, knowing how to tune that. And it took me a few years to do that and learn a process that works for me. And hey, we're all still learning, that's part of the fun of it all. But we're going to be covering drum tuning, which is a key to have the sound right, because you could play all the things you want to play on the instrument, but if the sound's not quite there, it doesn't have the je ne sais quoi that it could have. So we're going to cover some fundamentals of tuning that I've certainly found very helpful, and here's to that being very useful to you too. 4th question, an interesting one. So what if you fully engage with this course and the material that we're going to be covering? Well, as we've said, the basics, so much of being great at something is mastering the basics, the basic moves, and building that strong foundation. And when you learn to play drums with that strong foundation, it gives you, tools and understanding that can unlock creative possibilities and know what's appropriate for the music that you're playing. So that's certainly a big one. You'll learn about how to play in a way that sets you up to win. When it comes to technique, like not hurting yourself, like making sure that you're playing in a way that's got natural motions and a lot of ease as part of the process, which can certainly make the process much more enjoyable. And it is a process. Again, it's all about that strong foundation. But what if you don't? What if you don't fully engage with mastering the basics? Then, that can really hold you back from your potential. Because, yeah, you can play music and have fun, and that's amazing. Playing music and having fun, is a real key part of it. That having those skills really can make the difference. Master drummers, it can often be all about how well they play the basics. Like being able to know the things to not do, and not do that, and know more of the things to do that work well, and doing more of that. So yes, that's what we're going to cover. Last point, before we begin, I invite you guys to set the intention to get the most out of this course and do what you can to really master these basics. Again, it gives you the foundation that you need to allow you to play what it is that you want to play and play music and have a great time doing it. Some of these concepts may be quite new to you, some of them you may have heard before, but the repetition of this, so watching each of these modules, taking notes, and that repetition is how you form these connections and form the muscle memory, etc. And above all, just do the work, do these exercises. You do the work, you trust the process, and over time you start to see results. It's like the analogy of going to the gym. If you don't lift the weights, you don't build the muscles. So the practicing and the doing of these exercises is key. And as one of my mentors has taught me, knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So rather than this just be another video you watch and go, oh yeah, the basics. Repeat, 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 repeat. That repetition is the way you can get to the mastery of what we're going to be covering here. And yeah, last point, and a serious point. Let's have fun. And let's get started with the course.